Katie. So I'm going to show you how to put together your wedding invitations. And the very first thing you want to do is your belly bands. So you want to take the thick ribbon that was included in your package along with the extra pocket fold and your glue stick. Take your pocket fold, put it right over the ribbon, put a little bit of glue right there just to make it tacky, and you only will have to do that once or twice to complete all of the belly bands. Okay, so then you want to wrap your ribbon around and just stick it right to where it's a little bit sticky from the glue that you just put on there. Then you want to put some glue on your ribbon, the underside of your ribbon, and then just pull it tight enough where it's secure but not too tight where you can't pull it off easily. It should slide very easily. Okay, so then just wrap your ribbon around and line it up, and that's it. Then you want to take the thin ruler or anything that we had discussed, anything that's nice and thin, and here's where it comes in handy. You just slide it underneath, and right where you put that glue, it'll make it very easy to slide it off. Then you want to take all your belly bands, put them aside to dry. Then you want to do your seal. Excuse me. You want to take your top and bottom layer of your seal, any piece of paper, anything to protect your table. I'll use the other side. You want to put the glue on the underside of the printed layer of the seal. You don't have to put that much, and you really don't want to saturate it or else it will curl, which I just put a little bit too much. But then you can take your board, if you want, to the 3/16 section. It doesn't matter what direction you put your seal down, just put it face down on the very base of the board where it says 3/16. Then you take your backing layer of your seal and put it on, stick it right in the corner of that section, the second lip, and then just press down, slide it off, press it real nice and secure, and there you go. It's perfectly centered. You want to put your board aside because really I don't think you're going to have to use it for your actual invitations, but for the seal it's very important to get it centered. If you're comfortable doing it by eye, you can. I would, because it's so small, but you have the board so you can use it if that's what you're comfortable with. Then you want to take your two backing layers, line them up just so you can see exactly where they're going to go, and since the damask is centered, you will be able to do it by eye and get it really close to centered, right about there. Okay, just so you see where it's going to be. Then you take your green layer. Now you want to make sure your hands are really dry and clean when you're handling the green cardstock, because the plaque, it's called, this cardstock, it actually picks up on any oils in your fingers. See that? I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but you want to be really careful not to have any grease on your fingers, or even the oils in your skin will discolor this. It's not a huge deal because the printed layer will cover most of it, but really concentrate on the edges. You don't want to get any marks on there. So on the back side of the green backing, you want to take your glue stick and really just line the back of it with the glue, and then center it on your damask layer, and that's it. Now again, in order to be careful, make sure that you don't get any fingerprints on it, you want to turn it over and really just put some pressure on there just so it's nice and secure. Again, if you saturate it too much, the corners will curl up. It's not a big deal. Just turn it over and put some pressure on it until it's a little bit more tacky and it stays put. Okay, then you want to put those aside. I would suggest doing all the belly bands and then all of the seals and then all of the backing layers. So it's kind of like a, I don't know what you call it. But you really want to have all your pieces done, and then in the end you want to be able to assemble them and everything be dry. Okay, all the glue be dry. So then next part that you want to do is the printed layer. Take your thin ribbon, excuse me, and tie it in the knot, how you're going to do. Okay, so you just want to tie it in a pretty knot, and as we discussed earlier, there's not a lot of room there, so you really don't want it to be a huge knot, but you want to make it nice and small, but also where it's going to lay flat, as flat as possible. Okay, then you take your printed layer, your invitation, turn it upside down and line that with the glue stick as well. You want to get as close to the edges as possible without really going over. Again, don't oversaturate it like I tend to. The side where the ribbon is going to go, you also want to put a little extra glue right there. I also like to take the small ribbon where the knot is and put a little glue there just so it tacks right onto the invitation. It doesn't wiggle a lot, so you can get it exactly where you want it. Just line it up. Okay, and wrap the ribbon around, and the glue will hold it nicely. And then you can actually bow it a little bit there, so when you do adhere it, it's really flat and tight. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is take your backing layer, again, line it up by eye. It's not that big of a border, so it should be pretty easy to do. And then just stick it on. Now you'll see it's not sticking exactly like that, so what I like to do is put it on the edge of the table, upside down where the knot is hanging over the edge, and just push it down, you know, like that, but where it's completely flat because the knot is off the edge of the table. Okay, and then you'll see that will work just same as the other layers. Just flip them over and just put some pressure on them until they're a little bit more tacky, and then they'll be fine. Okay, again, if you oversaturate them like I do, it'll take longer for that to happen. You really don't need a lot of this glue. It really does stick really well. It dries pretty quick, and it stiffens the cardstock up so much that it feels so much heavier once it's dry. Okay, so then you want to take your glue stick and just take your pocket fold and just, I always put kind of an X in the middle just so it adheres in the middle as well. Take your invitation, just center it, and that'll be real easy to do because it's almost the same exact size, just a little bit smaller so it doesn't buckle or puff up in the middle when it's closed. And then just stick your pocket fold in there. And there you go. Now you want to take your inserts and your response envelopes. Okay, your inserts. Make sure they're lined up nice, perfectly. See that? Okay, make sure they're lined up perfectly. Take your response envelope, also put it in there. Make sure you remember to put your response stamps on the response envelopes. Very, very important. Can't tell you how many times I've gotten calls from brides telling me in a panic that they forgot them and how bad is it. You want to make sure they're in there. Okay, and then you want to shove that down in the pocket nice and tight so it doesn't move around that much. See, there's not a lot of wiggle room because they're in there nice and tight. And that's it for your pocket fold invitation. Now back to the belly band. You take your belly band where the edge is. You don't want a lot of overhang, and if there's a lot of frizz, you just take a pair of scissors and trim them down. Okay, then you take your seal. You want the seal to be centered, but you see it's pretty easy to center that just by looking at it. So you take your seal, turn it over, and again, I always use some kind of paper or something that I have handy just so the glue doesn't get all over the table. Flip it over so you know exactly where the ribbon's going, and just put a strip of glue going the same way that the ribbon's going to go. And then you take it, put it on your ribbon, turn it upside down, use your hand, and just get it on there real good, nice and secure, and there you go. Again, if the back, if you do see a little bit of a edge from the ribbon, that's only because it's not up against the white. Once it's up against the pocket fold, you're not going to be able to see that as long as you lined it up nice. Now you take your pocket fold, you put your finger in the middle and just bow it out a little bit so it's easier to slide this on. And then slide it right down to the middle. It'll be nice and tight. It's not going to go anywhere. And there's your invitation. Again, if you see any little phrase like that, you can take your scissors and trim it. Okay. And then when your guests get their invitations, all they have to do is slide this down and their invitations are on the inside and they're beautiful. But make sure that the belly band and everything is dry, the glue is dry before you put them together, or else once your guests get them, they won't be able to slide the belly band off and it'll be a big mess. Okay, so if you have any questions, give me a call and good luck.